Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to look at section 4 now. But before I do, I'm just going to copy this across. Just to make sure it's nice and organized. And put it in here. This is going to be section 4. And it's not going to be count A. It will be a formula. Let's have a look at the top. And what we have to constantly do is just ask ourselves what can we use it. So we know it's going to be a formula, and actually I'm going to use a simple sum. Not a sum if, not yet anyway, we're going to use a normal sum. So formula and sum. So I'm going to call this sum and formula. So in the previous section we did a very simple formula. So we got a -1 here from a count to see how many people participated in this survey. And the reason why we're going to use we want this is because we need it for something else, which I'm about to show you now. And so we're going to go over here, and you'll see that we've got movie ratings, so basically what people gave as a rating for the film that they went to go and watch, their individual rating for how their experience was in terms of booking it in the first place, so the cinema booking process, their experience in general when they went to the cinema, and whether they would recommend that film, and the experience basically, and of course how much they paid. Now for this area here, these columns, it'd be nice to have a total for each one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a sum function to have a total for each of these columns. So we're going to go down to the bottom, and in fact I'm going to go down to the bottom, and before I put the sum in, it'd be nice to put another label here. So I'm going to put down total, like that, and to make it consistent with the heading at the top, I'm going to go to home, and I'm going to make it red, white, bold, and I think that's fine. Yeah, so it's nice and clean, and it's clear that these are the totals. Before I go any further, I think what might be useful and helpful is to actually see the formula itself. So what we need to do is go to view at the top, and we're going to go to the formula bar. So we're going to click on this, and what that will do is it's going to open up another window here. Can you see this at the top here? And what you'll see is that it will always tell you the cell reference. So if I click down here, that cell is F511, so F511. If I click here, that's J504. Not only that, but it also helps you with deciding what functions you want to enter. So for example here, every function formula starts with an equal sign. So we are going to type in equals as a symbol, and I'm going to put down sum and bracket open, and all I'm going to do is basically highlight the first one, go right to the top, and then put it there, and then press enter. There we go. Now this by itself won't make any sense, but it'll be useful when we do it on the others. Okay, because the reason why I say that is because these are individual films, but we'll put it there anyway. So let's do the next one. Equals sum, brackets open, click on the last one, go to the top. And what I'm doing is basically I'm clicking and holding. I'm not letting go until I've selected the entire area that I need. Now I don't want to include the title, the heading. So I'm going to go down one and then stop there. And what that does is it means, if you look here at the top, it's going to add the sum of everything that's inside of that. Bracket close, enter, and you see I've got 2,827. Do one more here. Equals sum, brackets open, click the last one, go to the top, don't stop, don't let go until you get to where you want it to be. There we go. Now let go of the mouse and I can press enter, and it will do it for me. Now there's a little trick. If you've done it once, there's a little tool that Excel has that can actually help you copy the same thing in other cells. But what it will do is it will drag it across. So on every cell, if I click over, I'm going to go down a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go across, and I'm going to click here randomly. You'll see whenever you click or select a cell, there's always a line going around it. That tells you that that's where you're on. That's where you are right now. But there's always this little black box at the bottom corner. Can you see that little box there? That is a drag tool. So if I go over here now, you'll see that box in the bottom right corner again. If I move my mouse, my cursor over it, you'll see that it goes from a big thick white plus sign, and when I go on top it goes to a thinner black plus sign, crosshair. I'm going to click and hold and drag it across, and what I should do is do the same thing twice. Okay, so if I let go and click on there, it should, if I click here now on the formula bar, show the cells above it. Can you see? It's done everything above it. So it's basically identified that I want the same thing to happen here as has happened in this one here, and the same thing has happened over this side. So I'm going to press enter, done. So I've got some sums here. Okay, that's basically the total for each one. Okay, so I could basically screenshot and show that in there in the section 4 here, and just explain what I've done, which is what you need to do. So I'm going to stop screenshotting every single thing, just because I think you get the idea now as to how to screenshot and what to show, but it's up to you to explain what and how and why you've done it. So this here is going to give us a is going to help us create an average score, which is going to we're going to come to in a moment. So this is about sum and formula. So we're going to now move on to the formula. I'm going to go right to the top now. So hopefully you get this screenshot here to show this sum, and if you want to, you can double click and then show the sum. But you're going to screenshot this and explain what you've done here. I'm going to go to the top and have a look at the headings. And the one I want to use is this one here. It'd be nice to have an average booking process rating. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in average booking score. Okay, now the average, as you know, works from getting the total and dividing by the number of people who participated. Now luckily for us, we've actually got the total right there. That's the number of people who were participated. So all we need to do is basically get the number of the total number of the scores. So we're going to press equals here. We're going to go back to the original one here, go down, just remember where you are. So we want the booking process, there it is. Go right down to the bottom and find it if I can. I'm going to choose this one here, there we go. And then we're going to divide it by, divide, by the way, is this symbol. If you look up here where my mouse is, it's that symbol there. Okay, so the forward score, forward slash, whichever way around it is, and never remember, that means divide. So we're going to divide this by, if we go back to this one here, so there, by that. Okay, if I do that, there's one more thing we need to do. Press enter for now. You see we've got 5.6. Yeah, so that's the average booking score. Now the title isn't right. I'm going to just double check that. It is booking process rating. So we're going to put average booking process rating. That's what we need to do. Average booking process rating. So that makes more sense now. So we've now figured out that the average booking process rating for the cinema is 5.6, which actually out of 10 isn't that great. So can you see why when we start to summarize things, it makes more sense. So this formula now, yeah, has helped us to discover whether this cinema is doing well or not. According to the customers' opinions. So that's not great. Out of 10, 5.6, and even if you round it up to 6 out of 10 isn't the best. So that's why that's useful. So that is another formula. Now we can do the same thing for the cinema experience and whether they would recommend it to a friend. Okay, so let's figure that out. So it's the same thing really. So we're going to go over here. First things first, let's get the cinema experience rating. So we're going to over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the drag tool again. Just go down, and I'm going to change it by going in here and put average. Oh, sorry, I've completely forgotten already. My memory is shocking. Average cinema experience rating. There it is. So we can go over here. Cinema experience rating. And notice how I'm expanding these as I go along. So equals. Go to the first one. Go down. Remember which one it is. So it's in J. So go right down to the bottom, underneath, to find the total for J. Click that. Divide, which is the symbol again for score, by that. Okay, press enter. Okay, so that's not bad. So looking at that, you can see that on average people have given 8 out of 10 for the experience at the cinema. So this tells me, if I was management at the cinema, straight away from this summary I can see, okay, fine, when people are booking, they're not that happy. So either the website that they use to book their tickets has some issues that need to be addressed, or when they come in, the way they collect it isn't the best. But at least they are experiencing, having a pleasant experience when they come in. So once they are in at the cinema, 8 out of 10 people are happy on average. The next one, let's have a look. If I can drag it across to the top. Recommend a friend. Okay, so average recommend a friend score. So I'm going to call it that. Reco rating. If I can spell. Sorry, my OCD won't let me move on any further. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. So equals, go back here, get that total, recommend a friend score, which is there. Divide it by, go back to that sheet number 2, and then do that one there and press enter. So again, that's not bad either. So on average, 8 out of 10 people would recommend the cinema to a friend. So it seems as though that the cinema is doing fine. It's just a booking process itself. So that is another 2 formulas right there. So we've got a sum, well, we've got a few sums, and we've created an average score for these as well. Okay, so what you need to do now is you're going to screenshot that. So that's going to go underneath that second screenshot, and you need to explain what you've done and how. Sorry, why, which is what I've just explained verbally. I've just told you, okay, the reason why I've done the sums and how those sums have helped me or you come to creating an average score for each one, and why they would be useful for management at the cinema. Okay, so that's what you need to do next. One other thing I will show you in this is rounding things up and formatting. So for example, here you can tell that's dealing with money, because there's a currency symbol in front of it, there's a pound sign. What would be even useful is if we actually had the same thing all the way down. So I'm going to click and hold here, go right down to the bottom. There we go. So I'm going to go up to about here, and then I'm going to go to, let's have a look, here, and you can see it says currency. I'm going to click on that, and what you'll notice is that hopefully if I can get down there we go, that's how much we've made. So within those months, and this will be useful for a task later on, the cinemas made almost 5.5 grand. One other thing I think would be useful is if you could figure out how to do an average spend per customer. Okay, so it's no different from what we did before. Average spend per customer, and it is simply equals, go back to the original sheet, click on that, divide, go back to the first sheet, this one here, sorry, and divide by that, press enter, and you can see it says 1094. Now this here needs to be in currency, so we go back to here, go to currency here, select it there, and type that in. So you can see on average from 499 customers we were getting £10 each, almost £11 each. Now these ones here should be rounded up, I reckon. So how would we do that? So let's have a look. Go in here, go on here, and it's one of these here, and I never remember which way around it is. So there we go, it's this way around. So we just click that until we get to I'd say there. So 5.7, 8.1, 8.2. Okay, so we've just done some rounding up, and we've got another one here for average spend. So once you get to this point, screenshot this, explain each one. So this will be different screenshots here, and of course the sum here. So if you haven't realized already, I'm hoping you're using some initiative here and understanding what we're doing here. These here are more formulas. Okay, and you can see that there is a link to different spreadsheets. This is a formula between two spreadsheets, a worksheet here and a worksheet here, right? It's using this number and this number. So these are some quite, complex formulas. And of course, these here are sums. So screenshot these, explain each one, and explain, more importantly, for those who are wanting the higher marks, this person here got a distinction because this is exactly what they've done. They explained why this is useful. Remember how if you haven't realized, I'm making this data into information. We're turning data into useful information. So that is now coming to fruition. This is going to be useful information that a company could use to help push the company, the business, the cinema forward. So if you look at this example here, you'll notice they explain why they've done each thing. So let's use one here. For example, here a line chart was again created for the price paid per month. I think this was the most effective presentation method to show this data, as it clearly shows how the monthly income performs over the different months. So they're explaining why. So you have to do the same thing as well. Now I know we've not done pivot tables yet and charts, but we will eventually. But what you need to do is explain what you've done here. So I hope this makes sense. Okay, so that's two more things there. Good luck. Please feel free to pause and rewind the video. This is the whole point of these tutorials should you get stuck.